The Alabama Crimson Tide have had one of the smoothest transitions from quarterback to quarterback, seemingly for a decade at this point. They went from Jalen Hurts to Tua, to Mac Jones, to Bryce Young, and now they have another NFL hopeful in Jalen Milroe. Milroe is one of the most polarizing prospects in the entire draft class. He's a player who I don't think anyone denies has the ceiling to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he also still has so many inconsistencies to clean up, and we're going to talk about all of it in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page, where for $5 a month, you guys will get exclusive access to my draft guide, player evaluations with over 450 scouting reports on there, and I highly recommend checking it out if you want to get a leg up on the NFL draft and just see my thoughts on certain players that might not get a video. Leave a comment and let me know which players you guys would want to see in a future episode, and without further ado, let's take a closer look at Jalen Milroe. Milroe has had a wild college journey, but became the full-time starter in 2023 for Alabama after being the backup to Bryce Young, and things couldn't have started worse for him. He got benched early in the year after the loss to Texas by Nick Saban, but he got inserted back into the lineup, and after that, a switch flipped for not only Milroe, but the entire Alabama team, and Milroe caught fire for them. He finished the year with 2,839 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, and it seemed like he really got it going towards the end of the year and helped lead Alabama to the playoffs. Under a new coaching staff in 2024, Milroe has been very productive and has elevated his game to another level. He already has 1,274 yards, 11 touchdowns, to 2 interceptions, and many people view him as a legit Heisman candidate, and some people think he is the top quarterback in the upcoming draft class. Milroe is an awesome athlete. We've all seen the incredible highlight plays that we seem to get once or twice a week at this point, but he has fantastic size for the quarterback position at 6'2", 220 pounds, but he looks even bigger than this on tape. He also is a dual threat quarterback who is incredible with his legs. Throughout his collegiate career, Milroe has really produced on the ground. He has 1,475 yards and 22 rushing touchdowns in his career. His body control along the sidelines, as well as his speed and power that he runs with, they're rare things to see from the quarterback position, and Milroe makes it look easy. Milroe also has an absolute cannon for a right arm, and it seems like every throw is available to him at any time. He can launch it with the flick of a wrist, and it's 50 yards down the field. I think he has the best deep ball in the entire draft class. He throws with tremendous touch, and he throws some absolutely beautiful dimes from time to time. The most impressive part about Milroe to me is his unbelievable pocket presence. He does an incredible job of evading pressure, sensing the rush, and then scrambling accordingly. It makes him so difficult to bring down because his awareness is truly very special. But his instinct is not to run the football. He keeps his eyes down the field, goes through his reads, and is always looking to push the ball deep. And I think that's a tool that is going to serve him very nicely at the NFL level. I also think he just reads the field pretty well. He's not one of these quarterbacks who sits on one read for too long, like we've seen with other mobile quarterbacks in the past. He's a really smart quarterback that reads the field pretty well. As fun of a player as Jalen Milroe is, however, he has some big concerns for me as a prospect that I have yet to see answers to. I think he has some really inconsistent mechanics. For one, he is very stiff in the pocket, and he doesn't shuffle his feet or drop back in the way you would like to see. His footwork is poor all around, and there are too many instances where he tries to launch throws off his back foot because he doesn't move his feet. He's pretty much a statue in the pocket sometimes. I also think he holds on to the ball for too long, and I want to see him throw the ball and not be so stiff. I also think his release of the football is a little bit on the slower side. I think he has to clean up some of his overall mechanics because it does lead to mistakes like throwing off his back foot, And while Milroe's deep ball is remarkable, and he completes those passes at an extremely high rate of 58%, I think the area that you feel most worried about is the accuracy. And yet, the area you feel most confident in is the improvement he has made in attacking the short to intermediate areas of the field. Just last year, there were too many instances where he was just spraying the ball everywhere. And while he has improved, his accuracy is still a bit all over the place. I think some of it could be traced to bad footwork, some inconsistent mechanics there, but I also think he's got to improve at reading defenses, particularly reading zone coverage. His pick six against Vanderbilt is a perfect example of this. He's having the best season of his career in terms of completion percentage, and he's been much more accurate than we thought he would be, but there are still inconsistencies he needs to clean up, and he still does miss some wide open throws that he's got to connect on. Milroe also has a big fumbling problem at the position. He has put 22 footballs on the ground, including 13 fumbles in 2023. That is something you never want to see from your quarterback, and it's an area that Milroe definitely needs to get cleaned up. This is a quarterback class that is viewed as very weak, but Milroe is a player many people think could be the number one quarterback in the draft class. I just find there to be too many inconsistencies in his mechanic that do scare me a little bit from wanting to take him as the first quarterback off the board. He is still an incredible player, and I don't think anyone is denying that he has the highest ceiling of any of the quarterbacks in this year's class, but he does come in as my QB3. The upside is there. I just need to see him read defenses better and clean up some of his mechanical errors before I call him the top guy in the class. He is my number 17 overall player in the draft. In terms of a scheme fit, I think he works great in a heavy RPO scheme. Something where he can make plays happen on the run, keep his eyes downfield, which is where he's been the most effective at Alabama, but also doesn't force him to hold on to the ball for too long, and he's forced to get the ball out of his hands quickly and make quick decisions. That's where he's had the most success for Alabama, and I think that's where he's going to thrive at the NFL level. Coming up with a player comparison for Jalen Milroe was a bit tough, because I think he has a very interesting build and interesting athleticism that's pretty unique. We all are going to compare him to Anthony Richardson. That's a comp I've seen going around a lot, but I don't think he's on the level of Richardson as terms of an athlete, and I do think Milroe is a bit more refined as a prospect than Richardson was. I think he's more like Lamar Jackson, which I know is a lazy comparison to make, but obviously the mobility is there. But even now, after 2 MVPs, Lamar still struggles with throwing consistency. He misses some throws, he's got inconsistent mechanics, but he still is a better thrower. I think Milroe has a lot of those same tools, and while many people are going to think it's a lazy comparison, that's what I'm going to go with at this point in time. Jalen Milroe has mixed reviews. He is an amazing athlete with all the physical tools you look for in a potential franchise quarterback, but still has some glaring question marks regarding accuracy and some of his mechanics. The upside with him is through the roof, however, and I believe that Jalen Milroe will be a first-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.